This lecture is being recorded as well as or everything that we do for this section and for the other section. So just letting you know. Okay. Inshallah, this lecture is about reviewing some topics, actually almost all of the topics in 106. We'll spend this lecture and the next one, and maybe part of the next one, to do some reviews and to introduce one topic in greater details about strings. I know that we have took strings in 106, but not in greater details. However, we do need strings in 110, and I thought, why not to cover strings at the beginning of 110. After that, we're becoming so busy actually. This is number one. Uh, Number two, I be, I believe that after 2 3 lectures, we'll be beginning with our first group of topics related to OOD and OOP, and then we're going for algorithms and for data structure. So uh, just a matter of refreshment. By the way, inshallah, next lecture, I'll give you the Google document. I'll share it with you where you can record your attendance and most importantly, the bonuses that you take. Once again, those bonuses uh, increase your grade by around 3-4%, and this may qualify you to the next higher, better grade. So participation is important. This is number one. And number two, whatever you participate in, this is considered a bonus. This is short of motivation, and I do believe in interactive session. And at any moment that you feel that you don't understand, let me just repeat and repeat and repeat. I don't feel frustrated or um I don't feel frustrated or angry about repeating certain topics. Okay. Once again, I understand that that 110 is a little bit longer than 106, and that's why, excuse me, to have a delay of 10 or يعني between 10 and 15 more minutes after our time, because sometimes there's some sort of a bunch of of material to be delivered, and sometimes there are some questions, sometimes some people come late. Anyways, يعني I'll try to finish on time, and excuse me if this time slipped for 10-15 minutes. Okay. And especially for the review sessions, because I'll try to cover much more materials and remind you about 106. So and at the end of the day, I have to start for the content of this course. So excuse me for having 10-15 minutes of your time. Okay. So, previous lecture, uh, we came up with three concepts. First, algorithms. Second, OOD and OOP. And third, data structure. So let's have some interactivity. Uh, Anyone that needs to participate, just write on the chat that he or she is wishing to participate, because I still don't know your name. So please write on the chat that I'm wishing to participate, so that let me choose your name. So Just write on the chat, and whenever I have something, once again, just collaborate. Whatever you collaborate, right or wrong, it doesn't make any difference. I just want to have the session as interactive as possible. So thank you very much for this. Okay, so lots of participation, and definitely I will have a lower priority for my X106 student because they participated a lot with me. So let's have Yasin Shaukat. So Yasin, we talked previous time about algorithms, data structure, and ODOP. So what do you think the algorithm is?
Me?
What do you think the algorithm is?
I
When
guess
I tell you I
it's
have, you have to write an algorithm. What does this mean?
it's code that goes in steps. It follows a specific pattern when things happen and when things don't happen. So it's like
Yeah, that's
a
great.
set of rules that the system
That's uh, uh,
follows
that's perfectly fine. But
and does depending on what the user inputs or what happens.
all this is really fine. But you missed something. Why do I write this code?
The code,
Yeah, why do I write the algorithm?
To Doctor, can I answer?
Yeah, sure.
To get a solution to a problem.
Exactly.
Get the
So
output.
yeah, uh, no, actually, the lady answered. What's your name? Sorry, I didn't pick it.
Sandra.
Sandra. Okay. So Yasin and Sandra, you were complementing each other. So the algorithm, as Yasin rightly said, it's basically step-by-step instruction, and it's a code, and it has an input, and it has an output, and everything that's fine. But the main objective of the algorithm is to solve certain problem. So what is this certain problem? This certain problem is, as we spoke last time, is about solving a given problem, and this problem has to be explained in a precise way. So thank you, Yasin and Sanda. You both get a bonus. So everyone speaks, give himself a bonus. That's okay. Uh, so to Ahmed Al Hager, Ahmed was my X106 students. So Ahmed,
ايوه يا دكتور.
ازيك?
الحمد لله.
Alhamdulillah. So if we're talking about algorithms, Ahmed, how do we decide that this algorithm is good or bad?
If this algorithm is good or bad,
Yeah,
if
how
it's
do we
able
decide?
to fa- since the algorithm is a set of instructions to solve a problem, if it's able to solve the problem in the most efficient way possible, then it's an efficient algorithm.
So thank you, Ahmed. Uh, yes, you spoke about two things. First, it is able to solve a problem. This means that the algorithm is correct. So this is called correctness. And it is solving a problem in an efficient way. So this is called the efficiency of algorithm. In 106, we care about correctness. In 110, we care about efficiency, which is solving problem in the shortest possible time, uh, which means that uh, the algorithm will run faster, and that's why there is something that we will take later on in this course called time complexity. So how complex solving this algorithm in terms of time units in terms of time units. So this is basically time complexity. This is for now. This is called efficiency. So thank you, Ahmed, for that. Let's go for Yusuf Omar. Yusuf also was one of my 106 ex-students. So Yusuf, hi.
Hi, doctor.
Yusuf Omar.
Yeah, hello. Can you
Yusuf?
hear me, doctor?
Yeah, you're
Hello?
having problems with the voice? Yes. So we
Okay.
talked also about data structure. So what do you think the data structure is, Yusuf?
Data structure is organization of data. It makes the code the most efficient in order to perform the action.
Yes, continue. Just express yourself, yeah.
مش عارف
What's
زي
data?
الاريز يعني
طيب
مش عارف.
ايوه زي الايز. اوكي لا يعني yeah, say something. There's a lady that wants to speak.
How it is used to store and organize the data?
Yes, it is used to organize a data. No, it's not used to organize a data. It's used also. It's used within your program as well. So, thank you, Amir, my new students. طيب, let's let's connect what Yusuf has said and what Amir rightfully said. So, data structure contains two things. First, data, and first, structure. Structure, this is how data are organized together. So if we have an array, for example, so the data comes one after the other. The data comes one after other, as if it's queue of people, queue of products, queue of something. So this is from this side. Also, we have seen in the previous lecture that data can be organized in the tree. We have a parent and we have children, and those children are the parent of others, etc., etc. This is called a tree. So, data by itself is a fact. When I tell you the ages of Amir, Yusuf, Ahmed, Isra, and Yasmin, Yasin, etc. So those ages are facts. So it's an organization of those facts into a data structure. Then my Lebanese friend.
Yes, doctor.
So we spoke about OOD and OOP. So what's OOD and what's OOP, Muhammad?
So OOD is object-oriented design and OOP is object-oriented programming.
Great. And what's OOD and what's OOP in principle as definition? You can express them يعني in whatever يعني whatever convenient. You don't have to propose a formal definition, yeah.
So I guess OOD, like it's mainly about the design of the application or the program, and
Yes.
OOP is about the actual coding of the program.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everything is right except the word that is called program. So OOD, yes, it's object-oriented programming, and OOD is object-oriented design. That's right. And it's a design of the application, but the application consists of classes.
Yes.
So if you need to see the relationship between the classes and their interconnectivity together. So that's OOD, how they are related together. So assuming that Muhammad, you're paying in a supermarket. So or you're paying, you're ordering something from Talabat. So assuming you're ordering something from Talabat, what do you think the classes that exist in this transaction? Just high level, yeah. Think of some classes. You're ordering from Talabat, you some food or something.
Like restaurants.
Yeah, it's an object.
Yeah, and like
It's
the
a class,
actual
sorry.
menu. Yeah, and the actual food, like each restaurant even contains food. So like even
So
the food
that's
it's
menu.
yeah.
Then
And
what
I
about
guess
you? You are what?
yeah, the customer, of
You are the
course.
customer, and you're ordering something. So there should be an
Yeah,
order, yes?
yeah, the
And there's a
order.
restaurant and there's a menu. What else?
And I guess the driver, even it's a class, like the
Yeah,
driver, because yeah, and
and the
and
payment.
even the receipt, like
Yeah,
there's
the payment, the receipt, etc.
yeah, the
So
payment.
let's not get so much bigger. So
Yeah,
OOD actually, so you have several classes. So you as a customer will order, this is another class, from a restaurant something to eat from their menu, and you're going to pay via pay, this is a class, via credit card, this is another class, or cash, this is another class, and you're going to get an invoice. How classes talk to each other, this is called OOD. Okay? OOP is very simple. Just put this design into C++. So you will write in C++ the classes, the attributes, the member variables, the member functions, and then connect the classes via C++ together. And this is something that is going to happen. So, you know that the uh, the best uh, the best people, I mean, in programming actually, put everything in classes. Put everything in classes, and the menu, the main function is simply that you say one statement. Let's say I have an object called program from a class called application, and then program.start, and then everything is hidden from the main function. Everything exists in classes. Everything exists in classes. So the shorter main function that you have, the best, because this means that you have everything in classes. So thank you, Muhammad, for that. Okay. So though I repeated this part, but I really care that all of you understand that in this course we're having three things. We're having OOD/OOP, we're having algorithms, we're having data structure. So anyone that doesn't understand this very nice story, then please let me repeat. Okay. Okay. Type. Let's begin our review from 106. Apologies for some people or many people, whatever the number is. If it is so trivial for them, I really care for your time, but I also care that we establish a foundation problem, a foundation together, so that we are on the same pace. So once again, apologies if this sounds too simple for you at the beginning. Don't worry, real stories are coming very soon, and challenging are coming very soon. So So for the basics, this is our first program at C++. This is our first program at C++. It simply calculates an addition. Calculates a multiplication of two things. However, it has interesting things. So who's my next friend? Muhammad Al-Mahdi. Also my ex-students, all my ex-students are coming as fast as possible. Okay. Muhammad Al-Mahdi.
Yes, doctor.
Yes, Muhammad. So let's
Yes,
take
doctor.
let's take this program together. This program consists of something that appears in almost all the C++ program that you have seen. So I just want to highlight few things together, and I let for Muhammad to explain. He will be the doctor for a few minutes. Okay. So Muhammad, what's IOStream?
It's a library that allows input and output from the user and to the user, and I must include it in any program so as to be able to write a code that
Everything
performs
is fine.
appropriately.
Everything is fine. IOStream is a library. It's called input-output stream, and you have to include it. What does mean including a library, Muhammad?
Including library is writing it as like how when we deal with files we include fstream, or every library contains some functions and objects inside it. So
Probably my question is confusing. I mean something else. It's not your problem. Including a library, we previously said that any C++ program is translated into an object code. When you compile your C++, it's translated to an object code. And what's an object code, Muhammad?
it's the language that the computer understands, which is a binary language. So it must be translated from the source code to this language so that the computer can understand it.
Great. So it's an object. The object code is a machine language, which is ones and zero. Everything in this computer is ones and zeros. This is the machine. This is the language that the machine understands. So there's an object for your C++, the code that you write yourself, and there's an object for IOStream, and then both objects are linked together in the linker. So the linker links two objects together. Coming back to our friend Muhammad, so what's using namespace standard or STD, Muhammad?
This line means that I'm going to use namespace in its standard way, which means that CN is for input, Cout is for output, because in case I don't write this line, I have to write standard before every CN and Cout so that it performs its main function or standard function, which is input and output.
Exactly. You said it in a complex way, but okay, I understand. Yeah. So using namespace, the word namespace standard, it tells you that the definition of CN and Cout, which are the part of IOStream, please use them in their shape that exist in the library. Don't modify them. Just use them like the way the one who made the standard library defined them. Okay, so this is mean standard. Using means using. So please use the namespace. The namespace means what you have defined in this library, use it in a standard way. Don't use the modified version of CN and Cout. Why? Because you can, and this is a fact, you can modify what CN and Cout are doing. And you can modify this getter and this list. You can modify what they are doing actually. So just use CN, Cout, don't play with them. So this means using namespace standard. Int main, what is this? Yeah, Muhammad.
int main is the main function. هو main is a function أصلا, but this is the main function of the program. So int main, I'm just declaring the main function which returns 0 at the end. And here I write most of the code inside it because this is the main of the program.
So it is the start point for any C++ program. So C++ starts from int main. Okay, and then Cn means I want to get something from the user.
So input something
and
for the variable and get
I
from
want
the user.
to output something. Cout means console out, means console output. Write something to a console. And then there's a small equation here, and then there's others here. What I need you to come out from this small example is that IOStream is a standard C++ library. It's not a user-defined library. There's something that we will take in this course, and that's why I'm just giving you a heads up, called a user-defined library. This is called a standard library. And there is a user-defined. User-defined means it's defined by you. It's your library. It's your functions. It's your classes, etc., etc. So, and then the Cn and Cout, and then we have the main function that returns 0. By the way, you can have void main and not return anything. So at the end of the day, the C++ is a function and some classes, as we will see later on.
Doctor, can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, about the STD online, sometimes when I look at code, I see they do STD : and then they do the Cout and
Yes,
Cn.
this is to avoid writing using namespace STD. It's the same equivalent meaning,
thing.
yeah. That's the
Okay.
same equivalent meaning. However, it's it's much less headache to, instead of every Cn and Cout, you write STD, means this is the namespace, this is the domain of those functions, and column, and then you write Cout. So it's more complex, definitely. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Doctor, is there like other namespaces?
Excuse me?
Okay.
Yeah, I hear you.
Is there other namespaces?
Yeah. You can define your own namespace, yeah, Bahim. يعني STD, this is called the standard namespace. However, but we may not cover this in this course, but you can define the namespace of Ibrahim, which means that those are the functions of Ibrahim that is created by Ibrahim, and those are the variables that belong to Ibrahim. Okay, so in principle, you can define Ibrahim space. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
It's not a joke. It's a real thing. Yeah. So you can, for example, inside your classes, you can say using namespace Ibrahim classes, or Ibrahim world, or Ibrahim something. So you can define something like this in order to use the functions that exist in the library of Ibrahim. Okay?
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay. So later on in the project, you will define Ibrahim space. Don't worry about this. So since Ibrahim was with us and will return to the queue of people, so what does this mean, Ibrahim? This statement, what does it mean?
Declaration for integer value variable called num, and
Yeah.
its value is 20.
Yeah, I will correct few things. First, its initial value, which means that I can change it. If I don't want to change this value, then I simply write const. It means a constant, okay? And then, in principle, what's a variable, Ibrahim?
As a variable, as based on
Yeah, I help you. I'll help you. Where does a variable exist?
The memory?
Yeah, yeah, my second newest friend. Yes, it exists in memory. So a variable, by the way, you can speak without, anyone can speak without raising his hand, yeah.
Isn't the variable, yani, it's an asset that you can make use of inside the function?
Can you repeat, Yasin? I don't understand.
Variable is an asset inside of the function that you use.
Yes, you can. Of course, you can use it inside the function. Of course, it's an asset inside the function, of course. But what I meant is that the variable for the computer, it's a memory location. Okay? So you know that the memory of the computer, the volatile memory, which is called the RAM, and then we have the variable, and then the value of 20 will be at some place in memory, and we will have a memory address that points to this variable. So it's as if this is the address, and let's assume it's named num, and it's point to a place in memory. It's not, of course, num, it's a number. And then here is the 20. So if a variable will be allocated in memory, and this memory is either called a stack or a heap. And can someone tell me what's the difference between the stack and the heap?
The stack is a static memory in which, when I store a static array, while the heap is the dynamic memory where I use pointers for, so it is dynamically allocated when I use it and deleted after I finish.
Yeah, sure. So we have a stack that is a small memory, and we have a heap at big memory. And when we use pointers, we use pointers in the heap. And almost all of the application and all of the games that you see is allocated in the heap because it's bigger. That's why pointers are important, because without pointers, I cannot allocate in the heap, means I cannot allocate, I cannot make large applications. So the moral of this long story is that variables are located in memory and pointers and pointer variables, they are allocated in memory also, but in the heap. Thank you, Bahim, and thank you, Muhammad.
Thank you, Doctor.
Okay, so going more into the variables. The variables has a data type. And what's a data type? A data type means it is the type of the variable. What should I hold in that variable? What should I hold in that variable? If I'm using an integer, then I am holding a whole number 2. If I am holding a float, then I am holding a number with a dot. If I am holding a string, this means this means I am holding an array. If I am holding a Boolean, so it's either 1 or 0. So a data type means what data will I store in memory. So integer means a whole number. I have 3 parts of data types. The one that is called derived data types, which is basically the array and the pointer, the built-in, the integer, the character, the user defined like the structure and the enum. Okay, and for those data types, we have different data types. We have the short, int, long, float, double, and the short and int, they are the same. However, the int will be having 4 bytes of memory. The short will be having 2 bytes of memory, and that's why the short will hold data ranges, the numbers, the minimum and the maximum numbers that the short that I can define a short variable in is minus 32k till 32k, because it's only in 2 bytes. For the int, it's 4 bytes, so it's minus 2 billion till 2 billion. The long and the float and the double the long is bigger than the int. The float double and long double, they are numbers with decimal point, and they hold large numbers. We're talking about 4 bytes, 8 bytes, and 10 bytes. Okay, so here in this program, I have this small thing. It's an equation. Total P's equal number of pods times P's per pod, and there's a times here. So the times here is an operation. I am multiplying A times B. This is an operation. And there is some sort of precedence rules. To do what? To evaluate this expression. And what does it mean, evaluating an expression? It means if I am making something like this, I want to evaluate this expression. And then this expression has 2 operations, the multiplication and the plus. What should I evaluate first to evaluate this equation? So this is what called precedence rules. The precedence rules say I will evaluate the parentheses first, and then multiplication, division, and then plus or minus, and then plus or minus. And if this is multiplication, so I evaluate whatever between the parentheses, and then I start from left to right. From left to right. This is how do I evaluate an expression. Okay? Anyone that doesn't understand what I am saying, just interrupt me. Okay. So this was probably chapter 1 and 2 in 106, and then we'll be covering chapter, of course, in a light way, chapter 3 and 4 that talks about the flow of control. The flow of control. What's the flow of control? If I have this program, when C++ start execution this program, it start from the first statement after this bracket here. It start from this end till the last statement, which is the one before return 0. Okay, the one before return 0. So this is sequential. So this is the normal flow of C++. Start sequential, one after the other. Yet, what if I want to repeat certain statements? What if I want to jump certain statements? What if, so either I want to repeat or I want to select the statement. So I will alter how C++ will execute the statements that are in a sequential way. So flow of control means I am altering, ببدل the flow of control. Instead of sequential, I am altering it. Okay? So let's have some volunteer here. So Yahya.
Yes, doctor.
Yeah, okay. So we have spoken about flow of control here. In this program, it starts sequentially until it finds a statement, which is
The if statement selected.
the if statement. Great, yeah, great. So it starts sequentially till it finds an if statement, and this is called a selection flow of control. Why? Because I am selecting X or Y. What's X and Y, Yahya? Let's say it together. If hours greater than 40, hours greater than 40, Yahya. This is called what? You don't have to, I think you will not know, but anyways, this is called what? Hours greater than 40.
Condition?
It's a condition. Yes, you said something else, but right as well. But it is called, more precisely, a Boolean expression. If this something is true, then I am selecting X or multiple statement to be executed. If this statement is false, then I am executing something else. So if and there's something between brackets, this is called Boolean expression. This is called Boolean expression. That should be evaluated by true or should be evaluated by false. Should be evaluated by true or should be evaluated by false. So if the hours are greater than 40, so I'll execute this statement. Otherwise, I will execute what, Yahya?
The false statement.
The false statement, which is after
the else.
After the else. Stay with me. Okay. So this is the if statement. No, thank you, Yahya. Thank you. I'll choose. There are lots of people that are waiting. So So if Boolean expression, I will execute this statement, otherwise I'll execute that statement. And two things here before we are moving out of this thing, that if the Boolean expression can be as complex as you want. And we will see some, the Boolean expression can be as complex as you want. So it can be if A less than B and or, we will take them in a while. This is or, B less than C. And this is the beginning of the Boolean expression. This is the end of the Boolean expression. What does this mean? This means if A is less than B or B is less than C, if this is true, execute one statement or multiple of statements. So if there's a bracket here and many statements here, then whatever comes between bracket, then those are the statements that I want to execute. What I care for is evaluating this Boolean expression. And also I have precedence rules. Precedence rules say what? What should I evaluate first? So I start by evaluating this Boolean expression always by the parentheses. And then the and or, etc., etc. Okay, so I'll select another volunteer. So Abdul-Ati.
Yes, doctor.
Okay. In this, this is a while loop. So the while loop, Abdul-Ati, it does what?
It repeats a certain number of statements as long as the condition is true.
As long as a Boolean expression or a condition, whatever, is true. So it executes at least how many times?
At least one time?
No, at least 0 times.
This is do and while.
Yes. So there's no at least. It can be executed. It can be executed for many times, and it may not get executed at all. Depends on what? Depends whether this Boolean expression is true or this Boolean expression is false. If this Boolean expression is false, it skips the while loop, whatever between brackets, and go to after the closing bracket, which is C out and L. So again, the while loop, it executes certain number of statements for 0 times or multiple times. طيب Abdul-Ati, what if we don't have this line, which is count underscore down equal count underscore down minus 1? What will happen?
If the user inputs a positive number, the loop continues executing forever.
It will go. Thank you, Abdul-Ati. That's great. If count down will be positive, which means that it is greater than 0, then this means that this while will be executing, will be repeated forever. Why? Because this countdown will never go negative, So the while loop the Boolean expression that exists in the while loop will always be 2. So it will go forever in the while loop. So we'll pick another font. So Abdurrahman Talat, also my X106 student. Abdurrahman, how are you? Okay. So Abdurrahman, what's the difference between the while and do while, if you still remember?
The while loop might not be executed at all if the condition is not true, but the do while will be executed at least once, even if the condition is not true.
Okay, that's great. That's great. You said the right thing, except one not very accurate statement.
It will be executed at least once. That's what I meant.
Yeah, it will be executed at least once. So do means execute, and this will be executed. Those statements will be executed for one time, and then this statement will be evaluated, and then this statement will be evaluated. While Boolean expression, if this statement is true, it will go again. If this statement is false, so the do while will be executed for at least once. The do while may not be executed at all because the Boolean expression is false. However, the do while will be executed once and may be repeated after as long as the Boolean expression is true. So let's have another volunteer. So Muhammad Osama.
Oh, yes, doctor.
So we'll go into the switch statement. The switch statement is a flow of control. It's a selection. And the switch statement is similar to the if statement. So let's trace this logic, Muhammad. So let's have this part together. So what does this switch statement do, Muhammad?
So a switch statement looks at a given variable, and
Yes.
It checks if that variable corresponds to specific values. And if the variable corresponds to that value, then it does a set of instructions.
That's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. So switch statement, it looks at the value of certain variable. That's right. And then it has multiple cases. So the user inputs a grade, and if this grade is a character A, it executes whatever statements before the break. It executes whatever statement before the break. It executes whatever statements before the break. If it is character B, it executes whatever statements before the break also. If it's a character C, it executes whatever statements before the break. If it is D, but there are no statements, there's no statements after the D. So it goes to another case. So if it is D or F, so it executes whatever. So if I don't put statements after the first case, so it goes for the second case, and then it executes whatever statement before the break. What if it's not A, B, C, D, and F? it goes to the default, which means that it will execute whatever statements till the closing bracket of the switch. Okay, so at the end of the day, the switch statement evaluates a variable and then apply one or more cases, and then if all the cases are wrong, it goes to the default statement. So if I
دكتور
have, yes, Maya.
هي برضه مش ال switch statement انه it also does not accept strings, huh? Just recalling it.
Yeah, great, Maya, great. It accepts a character, it accepts a Boolean, and it accepts an integer. So thank you, Maya, for this addition.
It also doesn't allow ranges. Only
Allow
specific.
what?
It doesn't allow ranges, only specific.
Exactly, exactly. That's right. That's right. Okay. So in the Boolean expression, you can, whether it's for a while or whether it's for the if, you can have and or not. And means that if I see this Boolean expression, if I see this Boolean expression, it has sub-Boolean expressions, whatever between brackets. This is sub-Boolean expression. So if this sub-Boolean expression and this sub-Boolean expression, both of them will be evaluated. So assuming that this is false, assuming that this is true, then there's something here, either an or and not. So if we have an and, for example, it means what? It means that both Boolean expressions, both sub-Boolean expression has to be true for this overall Boolean expression to be true. What does this mean? Again, this is the first Boolean expression. This is the second Boolean expression, and this is the or. So what do? I evaluate the first one or the second one, and this is the bracket. So false or true is true, false and true is false, and then not true, it inverts it, is false, and sorry, not true, it inverts it, so it's equal to false. Okay, so if I have an and or, I have expression 1, expression 2, and then expression 1 and expression 2, expression 1, or expression 2, expression, not expression, which is the inverse. And it applies this table. So
Doctor?
Yes, I'm here.
Will this PowerPoint be available on Blackboard?
Yeah, it will be available everywhere, on Blackboard, on Dropbox, everywhere.
Thank you.
Yes. Did you do Dropbox?
Yes, I downloaded it.
Okay, so downloaded it, and for anyone that has problem with Dropbox, just let me know privately so that I can help him or her, because I shared with you all the material for 106 and all the materials for 110 till this moment. So be sure to download and install Dropbox. So let's have another friend. So Aisha.
Yes, doctor.
Yeah. So so actually the fourth statement is similar to what statement? Of course, it's a flow of control, but it's similar to what?
It's similar to the while loop.
It's similar to the while loop. However, it's slightly different than the while loop. So let's look at it together. So for, and there's always something between brackets, and then there's a definition of variable. And what is the value of this variable, Aisha?
It's 100.
100. And then this is called an initialization part. This is called an initialization part. Means it is an initial value for the number, or the starting value for a number. And then this, what should be the end value for a number? And this means that every time I loop, I decrease the number by how much, Aisha?
By 1.
By 1. Great. So see out number. Then if number is greater than 0, then see out this statement. So I loop and I evaluate for every iteration. I evaluate the number. Are you greater than 0, greater than or equal to 0? Then I repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat till number is not greater than or equal to 0. Then خلاص I exit this for loop. Thank you, Aish.
Thank you, doctor.
So going into the function. A function is simply I want to perform something. I want to perform something. And the function are either built-in functions or user-defined functions. The functions are built-in functions or user-defined functions. What does it mean, built-in functions? Built-in functions means that those functions exist in what? Built-in functions exist in a library like IOStream, like CMath, like Sting, like whatsoever. So they are part of standard C++ library. User-defined functions, they are functions that I, as a programmer, created them. So user-defined functions and built-in functions. User-defined functions and built-in functions. If I go into CMath, which is a built-in library, so I will find square root, power absolute, long absolute, float absolute, ceil and floor, whatever I use. And each function has what? Each function has an input or may not have an input, has an output, may not have an output. It performs something. It performs something. The key here is performing something. And why do I implement functions? I implement functions because I want many parts of my program to use those functions. So instead of repeating the code again and again and again, I write a function and I don't repeat the code again and again. So let's have one volunteer with me. So Ziad. Ziad?
Yes, doctor.
Yes, Ziad. This is a small tiger or this is what, yeah, Ziad?
No, this is a dog.
This is the dog?
Yes.
It seems like a tiger. I was worried about you anyways, Ziad. Okay. Because the picture is not very clear, so I assume that small tiger, the color is misleading. Yeah. Anyways, so Ziad, coming back, this is a main, and this is what, yeah, Ziad? Oops. This is the main, and this is what?
This is the definition of the function.
No, this is not a definition of the function. This is a function because the definition of the function you may define it before the main. But anyways, this is a function. Okay, let's say. And then what's the input for the function and what's the output for the function?
The input is in the parameters, the number underscore par.
Yes.
And the price underscore par.
Yeah, wait just 1 second. So the input to the function is number underscore bar, which is the number variable inside the main. Price underscore bar, this is
the price
of
the main.
In the main. And what is the output?
The subtotal.
Exactly. The output is the result of evaluation. This is expression, which is, as you was trying to say, subtotal plus subtotal times tax rate. And what is
assigned the bill variable.
And it, yes, and it is it goes to a bill variable which has a data type which is double, So let's go and see together what's going to happen. Bill equal total underscore cost, number, comma, price. So what does this mean? This means I have a left-hand side and a right-hand side. And I will evaluate the right-hand side to get the value of the left-hand side. As far as I have a function with a return type, then this equal should exist. So bill equals total cost, the name of the function, and the first input, which is a number, which is an integer. The second is a price, which is a double. So once I hit this statement, it goes to evaluate this function. And then I evaluate this equation. I define the subtotal equal blah, blah, blah. And then I return subtotal plus subtotal times return. What does it mean return? Means exit the function and go back to the main. Exit the function and go back to the main. Then the bill will hold the value of subtotal plus subtotal times tax 8. If this function is a void function, then it will return nothing. So this return statement will not be there. Will not be there. So this is called call by value. What does it mean, call by value? There is call by value and there's call by reference.
Call by.
Yeah,
Can I
yeah,
answer?
you can. Yeah, yes, Muhammad.
Call by value. What happens in the function affects the main.
The function?
What happens? Whatever operation we do in the function changes the variable in the main. Affects the main function.
This is by
Not
reference.
really. Not really. Whatever goes in the function, whatever. First, just let me understand you. Those are the inputs here. Those are the input variable, and this is the input, the output variable. So let's take it together, ya Muhammad.
Yes.
The number here is 3 and 4, assuming that the number is 3 and 4. And then inside the function, I say number underscore bar equal 5 times 4. And number here is 5. If this number becomes 20 here inside this function, does this mean when I exit the function, the number here becomes 20 or it will be still 5?
It will still be 5.
It will still be 5. Muhammad?
Yes, I meant the call by reference.
You meant the call by reference. Here we're reference back. Okay. So call by value means what?
That the main function remained the original value. It doesn't change by the function call.
Okay. By the way, the call by value, the call by reference will have stories with us this course. So we need to understand it now and for good, because we will have so many stories about call by reference. I know that some people hate it, but we have to live with it. So let's say, let's have first the call by value and then the call by reference. The call by value, let's name it what goes in Vegas stays in Vegas. If somebody of you knows what I'm speaking about, but there's usually a small story here that Vegas is known by Salat al-Umar. Yani. So people go to Vegas and then they do whatever they want to do, and they return back to their own country, and nobody know what bad they did in Vegas. Yeah. So it's analogous to what I'm saying, that the variables go from the main to the function, and if the function modifies them, the input variables go from the main to the function, and if the function modifies them, then خلاص, the main will know nothing about them. The main will know nothing about them. خلاص. يعني, why does this happen? Someone tells me. I go from the main to the function, and then the function do whatever it wants to do with them, and nothing happened. That's why if the number here is 5 and the number bar here was 20, then the number here is still 5. Why does this happen?
Because when you're passing by value, the compiler takes a copy of the number in the main, or of the value initialized in the main, and does the edits on the copy, not in the actual value.
That's
in a new
great.
different memory allocation.
That's great, Ayman. Don't forget to give yourself a bonus. By the way, you have to memorize your bonus is till Sunday, inshallah. So you're right, but Ayman, it's not a compiler. It's not mainly a compiler. I mean, the compiler allocates for call by value 2 locations in memory. So it's something like this. This is the first location, and then this is the second location. The first location is num, and the second location is number, I'm sorry, and the second location is number underscore bar. So this is the first location, and this is the second location. They are 2 flats, شقتين مختلفتين. So what happened at the beginning, that as Ayman was saying, the compiler copies the value of number to the location of number bar. خلاص ملوش دعوة بيه. تمام؟ Then whatever I do with number bar, then خلاص, that's it. Number will be the same. This is called call by value. Call by reference. Call by reference means what? That we're not staying at 2 different flats. We are at 1 memory location. We are at 1 memory location. And how do I do? In terms of C++, how do I do that they are 1 location? When I define the function, yes, ya Muhammad. When I define the function, I put this and sign. So, and here, and there. This is call by reference. This is call by reference. So, let's do it together. Get number. Get number, this is the name of the function. It doesn't return anything. And why do we do that? It doesn't return anything because there's a void here. Tamam? Then, first num, this maps to input 1. Second num, this maps to input 2. And this is called by reference. Then, whatever values I put here, input 1 and input 2, they will be the values of first num and second num. And this is another way for the function to return many values. Someone will tell me you're speaking Chinese. No, I don't. This function return 1 value, because this return is returning a value of certain variable. So it's 1 variable. This function, using call by reference, it will return as if, no return. It will as if, return number input 1 and input 2. So whatever values I put here, it will be the same as input 1 and input 2. So after this function finishes, So the values of input 1 and input 2 will be as the same as first num and second num. Why? Because I put an and sign here. I put an and sign here. One small topic and then I am going to finish. And this topic, by the way, we will have so many stories about it in this course. This topic is called function overloading. This topic is called function overloading. And what's function overloading? Function overloading. It means that I use the same name of the function. I use the same name of the function with different input variables to do something that is slightly different. So, in principle, I have a function called calculate hourly wages, and it has some input variables. Then another function calculate daily wages. It has another input variable. So I'm sorry. The same name and different input variables. This is called function overloading. I have the same name with different inputs, and to do something that is slightly different. We'll have just an example and then we will finish this lecture. So inside my main, I have two functions named AVE or named average. This function AVE takes two doubles. This function takes AVE takes three doubles. Both functions have the same name. Both functions are calculating the average, but the first function is calculating the average of two numbers. Second function is calculating the average of three numbers. So they are doing the same thing with slightly different or additional functionality. So this is called function overloading. And here's an example. So let's stop
Okay.
at this part. Yes, Ayman. Yes, Ayman.
I have a question. How is this beneficial? I mean, can we use another function, but with different name it something else and then use it, because we know that this is two variables and this has three variables. So how is this beneficial for scenarios?
Well, it is just a neat way of programming. It's not beneficial or bad. So it's just a neatness of programming in a way that you have, you know that two functions are somehow similar to each other. So so you name them the same with different input variable. And this thing exists in many applications actually. So for example, if I have in my application calculating the area, for example, so if you want to calculate the area for the circle is not the same as the area for the rectangle. You have two ways, either defining two functions or defining one function that is called calculate area with different input parameter. So it has nothing to do with efficiency. It's just a neat way of programming, Ayman. Okay?
Okay, I get it now. Thank you.
Yeah, it's just neatness. يعني بالبلدي كده شغل على نظافة يعني مش أكتر يعني. Okay? Okay. I hope
Yes.
this was good. This was good for you. Thank you very much for attending. I will stay on the Zoom if anyone has a problem. Other than this, have a good evening and see
Thank
you
you for
on
your
Sunday,
time.
inshallah. And next Sunday we'll continue the review, but with more serious topic. Have a good evening after all.
You too.
Thank you, doctor.
Thank you,
Have a
doctor.
good day.
Doctor.
Thank you, doctor.
Goodbye.
Thank you, doctor.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you, doctor.
Doctor, you don't have an assignment for today, right?
Thank you,
No,
doctor.
assignments will be next week. Don't be ما تستعجلش على رزقك يعني.
Okay, thank you, doctor.
Okay.
Okay, bye.